She was national rank holder in all her levels. She's passionate about learning and has done a certified course on women entrepreneurship program from IIM Indore. She is the director of Jaideep India Private Limited, a spinning company in Pritampur, Indore. Chairperson C.A. Shweta Agrawal is very dedicated about her work, is a travel enthusiast, a certified Kathak dancer, marathoner, and an avid trekker, having climbed 2 Himalayan peaks. I now invite Chairperson C.A. Shweta Agrawal to give her debut chairperson address.
Good evening, everyone. I am deeply honored and privileged to take over as the chairperson of this esteemed organization, one that has been built with dedication and vision of my exceptional past chairs. Today, we take this legacy forward with a renewed purpose and passion. I want to take a moment to express gratitude to my family for always being so supportive and always standing by my side. Thank you. Before we begin, the entire Flow family sends heartfelt prayers to Tahira for her swift and speedy recovery. May Almighty God bless her with strength and healing during this time. Thank you. I request you all to please turn your attention to the screen for a very special unveiling, presenting the Flow Anthem.
We rise together, we stand so tall. Vicky Flow's the name we call. Dreamers, builders, leading the way, empowering women every day. Step up strong, let the world know we are the fire, we are the glow. Innovation, passion in what we do. Vicky Flow, we breaking through. Ideas spark and dreams take flight. We create the future shining bright. A sisterhood with hearts so true. Together we rise, we'll see it through. From dreams to action, watch us soar. Breaking barriers, opening doors. With every step we show the way for a brighter and equal day. And equal day. And equal day. Step up strong, let the world know we are the fire, we are the glow. Innovation, passion in what we do. Vicky Flow, we breaking through. We breaking through. We breaking through.
Congratulations to you. A big day in your life, and congratulations to all the women who are on stage today. I know all of you are very, very important, but hopefully by the end of this evening I'll get to know all of you even better. But yes, to answer your question, this is my first trip to Indore, not at all. I think if you've been an actor in India, and if you're in your third decade of being in the movies and a part of television, Indore is not a city that you can stay away from. So no, this is, I don't even know the number of times I've been here.
Indore city and Indore food, you just can't miss coming.
Yeah, that's what I did. I hit the buffet the minute I got here. And it's always so wonderful to be in Indore.
And being the cleanest city, I think you need to come again and again.
Yes, absolutely. I feel like there are many more reasons. But yeah, the cleanliness bit, of course, is fantastic.
Yes, and we're so proud of it. The cleanest city of India, right girls? So yeah, Neha, since
That's what happens when you have a room full of women and then the man comes in and does one thing and that's I'm sorry. I still have one fourth of my coffee. Is it okay if I keep sneaking in on it? It's fine, right? Everything is allowed. Yeah, because I was walking in and she's like, I heard you comment and you're like, you're so cool, you're walking in with your coffee. And I was like, I didn't even realize I had it in my hand. But then if I have my coffee, I'm just letting all of you know that I'm just a better person. How many of us are just better people after drinking chai and coffee? Because with you. I'll be even better in my next answer.
Please be competitive. So yeah, Neha, since we know that you're from Kerala, right? So from Kochi to Bombay, to Bollywood to Mumbai. So how was your journey? It spans through cultures and the world. So what is one thing you still feel at home wherever you go and wherever you go?
I mean, I was born and raised in Kerala. My father was in the Navy, but I mean, my family is from Delhi and Amritsar, and also married to a man who's from Delhi and Amritsar. So yeah, I feel like I'm from all over, and you know, we're all like deep down, we're all Indian at heart. So because I've had the opportunity of living in so many different places in the country, I feel like wherever I go, I have a story, I have a sense of belonging, I have something to share. I forgot my question. What was the second one? We just ask small questions. So I don't forget, because I give very long answers when I forget the second half of the question.
Would make it very short.
What was the second half of the question?
So what the one thing is which you keep remembering of Kerala that you can't forget?
Would I keep remembering?
Yeah, something which is close to your heart, as in a city.
I think freshwater fish for me, for sure. I'm just like, how much more that you give, but I was just in Kerala shooting for a show sometime back. Before that, I was shooting for a movie. It's the food. Like for me, I have a huge association with food every time. I do. Trust me, I do. And then the most important thing, of course, is when it comes to Kerala, it's my childhood, right? Now, if I had to go back and think of where I was raised or a home that I lived in the longest, it is in Cochin. So I had the good fortune of going back and seeing the house even now. It looks exactly the same. And, you know, some places just take you back. So it's been great fun.
So your childhood memories with Kochi are still alive, right?
Yes, I hope so. And I hope to take my children back there someday. They really want my coffee on the table. Like, whiskey, coffee, niche kaise karte?
Yeah, so we know that you come from a military family. So always grown up into discipline and timetable. So how has that shaped your wider creative side?
I think I was raised in a military home. Nothing, but I know I was raised in a military home. But for me, like one thing that my parents always did was they set me free. So every time, I think from the time that I was very little, and that's what I do with my children as well, is that they gave me the chance, the opportunity to make my own choices. After that, whether they empowered me, whether they put me in any sort of unsafe space or spot, is something that they would correct me on. But if they never clipped my wings or curbed my enthusiasm, and whatever I wanted to do, my father was always like, okay, let her try it once and then we'll see. And that's how acting happened and modeling happened. And I was like, I had a friend of mine in college and she used to model, and us time a lot of people may not even know there was something called a contact sheet. You didn't have digital, so they would like come out in prints, and I would look at her and I was just like, oh my god, there are like 300 pictures of you, you look amazing in all of them. That's what models do. So I said, even I want to get my pictures shot. I went and did it. I asked my dad, and nobody for generations in my family had been either a model or an actor or anything close to it. And my dad was like, so what do you want to do? I said, I want to model and I want to try for Miss India. So he's like, okay, give it a shot, let's see where it goes. At this point, I was, just to give you a background check, I raised in this forging home, and where you're made to believe that you'll either, it was also a generation where everybody was studying to become a doctor, an engineer, a civil servant, and then there was just, those are the good people of society, and they still are. Whereas if you want to become an actor, it's sought after careers. Sought after careers, CAs, so many of us here, so many of you all here, and really wonderful ones. But then when it came to like acting or modeling, it was looked at respectfully, but not like a real job. You know what I mean? Like till like 3 years ago, the way people looked at influencers or creators, and now 3 years post-COVID, these are all real jobs. So at that point, it was equivalent to that. And then I bought like a one-way air ticket. It was probably one of the first times I sat on an airplane. Yeah, I sat on an airplane when I was 18. Yeah, so I mean, you know, that's what happens. And every day, I feel like that's a very small part of, you know, the story that we all have to tell. We all have stories to tell. What really amazes me about everyone's story is place and time, right? So if I wasn't at that place at that time doing what I did, I wouldn't be here doing what I do now. And I just feel like everything is cause and consequence, and that's something my mother has taught me. And you know, reasons why things happen, reasons why things go wrong. Like never underestimate the reason for anything going wrong, because eventually you're going to look back and be like, hey, this was actually going right for me. So, you know, she probably started, you know, giving me life lessons on, you know, not doing well in sport and why I haven't excelled in a certain sport, and I must have come back really upset about it, or, you know, I must have gone through a heartbreak and really gotten upset about, you know, why I couldn't go through with this guy. Because my mother knows that, you know, it's because there's someone else waiting in the otherwise Amrit would be an Amrit if I had kind of gone with the first guy I met. So you know what I mean? Like everything happens for a reason, and the reason is good. So all of it, like there's so many stories to tell, and you have them and I have them, and I just want to tell all of you at this point, and especially as women, we question a lot of things, which is okay. But I'm like, just don't be under the pressure of those questions. Like, don't beat yourselves up about it. I don't know if anyone else does it. I do it a lot. But I always rise up from it. And I mean, I've seen more failure than I've seen success. I've seen more letdowns than I've seen, like, you know, good times in my life. I've seen more kind of rejection than I've seen approvals in my life. But, you know, if I'd seen all that, I'd be still under the rubble somewhere. But you got to pick yourself up each time. Really, like Miss India, if you're talking about that, I won Miss India. 6 months later, I didn't win Miss Universe. But it doesn't define you. It's how you get out and get past from that with what's happening in your life. You've got to fight that, right? I mean, that's the adventure. Getting on the other side of failure only makes you more and more successful. And that's what you need to do.
So you have already answered my one question. I was looking for one advice from your mom for all of us, but I have got that answer.
Already, absolutely. Like, my mom says this every day in my life. Like, she's like, Jo, that achhi really, and I swear by it. And sometimes I really feel like if you even, like, and now I feel like I've been through so much, so like a lot of people like, oh my god, I did बहुत बुरा था, मेरी flight miss हो गई. नहीं, उसमें भी कुछ अच्छा भी निकलता है.
For sure.
So you know, like, I mean, I'm not talking about tragedies, but I'm talking about life and failure and, you know, getting past and getting beyond. And I mean, don't question it more than you should. I feel like just go with it. Be like water.
Let's go with it, girls. Be like water. Flow with water. So yeah. So going back to your days when you won Miss India 2002, what kind of advice, what one advice would you give to your younger self if it was today?
I don't know, like, not to compare. Like, I feel like when I was younger, I was comparing myself to a lot of people around me, and I feel like comparison is the shortest way to hell. So you'll be like, oh, uske baal mein se itne achhe kaise hain, or why is she having, you know, a better life than mine? You don't know what's going on. Like comparison. I was bored. Like in my 20s, I was like, oh, this actress is wearing a gold sari and is at an award show and getting the award. So maybe next time I should also do the same thing. No, I mean, if you keep comparing yourself to somebody else, you're never going to be able to find your own true self. And I just feel that embrace the person you are, because when you're younger, you're not as flawed as you make yourself out to be. Like right now, when I look at my pictures That's amazing. But when I was in my 20s, I was not okay with who I was. And I'm like, I wouldn't give my 20-year-old self, when I was in my 20s, that girl like saying, hey, travel more or experience the world. I did all of that. What I didn't do right was probably spend too much time comparing. I was sweating the small stuff, which was not important, but I guess you need to get past that. Like right now, I'm not going to have, I'm in my 40s, I have 2 children, and I'm not going to have like breakdowns and meltdowns just because my sari blouse doesn't fit right. I'm not going to have a meltdown if, if someone said something to me and I'm not in agreement, because I feel like everybody's entitled to opinions, or I'm not going to have, like, in my 20s, like when I was younger, I would even get like upset that, hey, like 6 people are invited for this and I'm not, and it's like, what is that? There's FOMO and there's JOMO. I'm living in my JOMO era, the joy of missing out. Like, please don't call me anywhere. I don't want to go anywhere. I want to be like happy home. I want to tuck my children into bed. I want to wake up in the morning. I want to send them to school. I want to go to the gym. I want to go to work. I want to spend more time with them. I want to try and play some paddle. I want to get back into bed with them. I want to eat like 3 healthy meals. And once in a while when I have time, I'll call you and I'll try and have a conversation. Maybe it's too late by then, but then I missed out on you. It's so me and it's fine. I'm still okay with it. So I'm fine.
We take this piece of advice for ourselves, for all of us, because this is the best thing until now.
Yes, socially I'm retired. Retired hurt. I'm fine with that.
Perfect. So
it's going to be terrible when any of these videos go out, but if they go out, fine. At least people will get to know it's okay. Yeah, JOMO.
So these days, Neha, women often pine for validation from friends, family, and society. So how do you embrace yourself with your own imperfections and don't care about everybody else?
Okay, so the fact that I embrace myself with my imperfections is very different from me not caring about everyone else. So they're 2 different things, right? I care a lot. I mean, if somebody wants to talk to me, somebody needs my time, somebody needs attention. Sometimes I even get offended when there are men who come up to me at the airport and say that, hey, my wife is a very big fan of yours, कि आप उनके साथ photo लेंगे तो आपकी wife क्यों नहीं पूछ रही? She can also ask, right? Put her in front, let her ask me for a photograph. Let's empower this woman who's probably feeling shy or intimidated or doesn't want to get rejected. So I feel like I'm there for you. I care for you. For me, it's really not about giving you that photograph. For me, it's giving you the strength to say that, hey, you're a stranger. I look up to you. I want to ask you for a photograph, but I don't need to put my husband in front of him. That's me caring. It's a very small thing, but today, if I do that to her at Indore airport, if I see someone and I'm like, hey, you ask me for a photograph and I will give you a hug and I will give you a photograph, that woman will probably be like, she'd probably be like, hey, of course, I want to make people comment. That's a small step. Whereas the other part, embracing your imperfection, it's a long way, ladies. If you're not on the path, let's get on it already. Because I got on it a long time ago, and I feel like being an actor and being a public figure makes you so thick-skinned, but at the same time, it's so tough to get this point. You have to go through so much, and you've got to walk the mile. You have to go through that. You have to go through judgment. You have to do it on your own to understand how long that mile is. You've got to sweat it out to get to the other side. Because when you do, that's it. Nothing can affect you. I promise you, there's going to be one day that you'll just look into the mirror and be like, wow, I'm amazing. I woke up in the morning and I didn't feel like brushing my hair. I didn't. You saw me. I didn't feel like brushing my hair, but I don't want to do it because I'm meeting you. You have to be okay with having me in Indore without me wanting to brush my hair. But when somebody else my dearest man, who's done my hair and makeup, wants to brush my hair because I have to be in front of all of you. I'm okay with that. I'm okay, embrace it. You're looking so pretty then also. Thank you. Or like, I was born with this silver streak and somebody's like, oh, क्या हो गया है? अब आपकी उम्र हो गई, आपकी. No, I've had it all my life, but I embrace it all my life. It's you. It's the way you look at me that's changed, but I'm still the same person. So, you know, or like, when I was pregnant for the first time and the second time, I put on, with my daughter, I put on 25 kilos. With my son, I put on 23. Let's do the math. We have enough CAs. We're 2 kilos short of 50. Alright? I'm saying even then, I was fine stepping out. I did a movie, I don't know how many of you have seen it, it's called A Thursday, where I was 8 months pregnant, and I was fine. I was walking with a bottle. I was shooting in the middle of COVID. I embraced the fact that, you know, this is my size and this is what I look like. But everything is a phase in your life, and you just have to be very, very accepting of it. And it's okay. There's no time frame that today I'm okay and today I believe in body positivity, and you can be positive about the person and embracing yourself in your 20s, and you may not be okay with it even in your 50s. And there's no like, oh, there is a time limit to it, or there is, you know, a certain time that, you have to be okay with it. Not at all, not at all. And take your time. And I should tell you, from where I'm looking at all of you, you all look beautiful. See it from my eyes.
They're all beautiful, empowered, and flow women.
I feel like they're beautiful, empowered, and that's why they're flow women.
Thank you. So, because you are, you want to do things differently and you want to do whatever you want to do, so that is how you landed up in roadies.
And God, whatever you want to, she's saying you want to do things differently and you want to do whatever you want to do. That always makes me feel like I'm talking to my daughter. You want to do this and you want to do what you want to do. I mean, I'm not stubborn. I just try things. I feel like I'm getting scolding from you right now, but yeah, I mean, बोला था नहीं करना है, फिर करते हो तुम. But I'm just saying that it's so, I mean, that's not why I do roadies. I do roadies because it's adventurous. I mean, the first time I went on roadies was like, I think 9 or 10 years ago. I took a break in the middle. They took a break from me for about 4 years in the middle. It's fun, it's adventurous. I'm on a road trip. I get to be with people. I'm doing tasks. And you know, you're seeing the spirit of self, of competition, of rising, falling, failure, success, judgment, and
Very different side of Neha Kursi there.
yeah, no, but I must tell you, and it's no hidden secret, I'm very competitive. So yeah, I mean, like there are times that even I lost to my 3-year-old son in Uno, believe it or not. It broke me. He passed out after that, but it broke me. I questioned myself till 1:45 a.m. I'm like, how did that happen? And it wasn't ordinary Uno, it was Uno Reload. I don't know how many of you played Uno Reload. Yeah? I was on the side of that deck which had 27 cards, and I had like sudden death. And my 3-year-old son, I rest my case.
We rest our case in front of our children, always. So yeah. So then you hosted No Filter Neha, which give you a front row seat in every platform and unfiltered celebrity lives. So any revelation for those conversations you got, or maybe you learned something there?
I think the biggest revelation is that when you try and chase A-list actors for free, they never have dates. So my only revelation is every time I would call someone, please Aaru, they're like, Abhi batate hain, then Abhi will take 3 months. So it takes very long to get these dates. But apart from that, everything else, spicy, juicy, fun, real, that they've said, is all on the show. Like this is like producer talk, but that's my biggest revelation. But I also want to tell you that they're all really cool to like show up.
Very cool.
I had 60 really cool conversations. We've had 60 episodes of No Filter Neha, and each guest cooler than the other. I love it. I genuinely enjoy the talk.
We enjoyed them too.
Thank you.
So yeah. So tell me, parenting in this world where fame, legacy and personal identity intersect can be complex. So how do you consciously shape Meher and Gurik's understanding of success and resilience in this inherited privileged world?
I think I don't put them under the pressure of success, for sure. They're 6.5 and 3.5. Meher is 6.5, Gurik's 3.5. Resilience, yes. I mean, that's a lesson that, you know, at least my older one has started learning and teaching me. But, I genuinely, like, you know, if you ask a parent, does the success of your child lie in grades? For me, no. Because, you know, my daughter is 6.5 and she's following the IB board, so it's very tough to say. Does it lie in the fact that she goes for sports day and gets a gold medal? Not at all. I never want to put my child under that pressure.
She ever brags about you?
And a success lies in the fact that in little things that mamas come for school, drop off and pick up. And if that is success, it's great, right? Because her parents have time for her parents are committed to doing this. And, you know, I feel like a large part of resilience lies, all kids across. How many moms are we over here? Most of us. That's amazing, right? You know your kids are resilient. Like whether, I mean, touch wood, I hope it doesn't happen, but when they fall ill, like my daughter's unwell right now, she's got a severe case of food poisoning, but she's figuring it out. She knows that, okay, this is what it is, mama's got to go to work, and you know, they're resilient enough. Sometimes for them, bedtime, I don't know how many of you struggle with bedtime, that you have to go home to make sure that you have that chat with your children, tuck them into bed, check on them. But then, that's for us, but then they're resilient enough to like sometimes go to bed when mama's also traveling and, you know, she can't be there. So, and I feel like my success lies in the fact that even with sudden bouts of absence, at least my work, I have to be physically absent from home. But my success lies in the fact that after sudden bouts of absence, we bounce back with the same amount of love, we bounce back with the same amount of joy of seeing each other, with the same kind of intention. I'm not a parent who puts my child under a lot of pressure. I'm not a parent who puts my children under any pressure whatsoever. I wasn't raised by parents who ever put me under pressure. So even now, when sometimes I'm trying to make choices, whether they're professional or whether they're personal, my parents may turn around and say that they never ask that, you know, what is this job, who are you working with, who the actors are, what are you getting paid. They always ask me, are you happy doing it? So you know, that's the kind of upbringing I want to give my children also.
Very understanding children.
I mean, no, obviously it's a lie if I say no, they're very understanding and it's great. I mean, I have good days and bad days. I was in Guwahati yesterday doing like AC. Okay. I'm hoping it's an AC and nothing else. No, but I'm just saying that there are days, right? Because we could be in the middle of an event, being in a part of a photo opportunity, doing everything, taking a flight, coming home, and you know, being this person on the outside. But I had to go back and start, you know, doing things for my daughter when she wasn't well and she needed me. So you know, I feel like the balance lies in not being here and being there. I feel like the balance lies in being 100% at work and then being 100% at home. And that's why you find it. I'm not one to tell because all of you, like looking at the number of mothers that they are over here, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
So what has motherhood taught you? What did that career could never teach?
To make the right professional choices as far as my career is concerned. You're asking me what motherhood has taught me, right?
Yes.
For my career, to make the right professional choices, motherhood has taught me the ability to say no. Like I didn't know, like there would be times when somebody would say, yaar idhar aa jao, ya ye event kar do, ya hamare liye idhar aa jao, ya ye role kar do, ye guest appearance kar do. I say no now. I know where my boundaries lie, professionally, personally. Professionally, I'll explain to you how, because if I have two young, beautiful children who are the most important beings for me in the world, I'm not going to shock sell myself professionally. I can't. Because I'm just like, if the choice is being between here in a professional commitment, which is something that's not satisfying me, I'd rather be home. And I feel like as a mom, I try and teach my children the same thing, but not professionally, but I try and teach them boundaries. So for my daughter, she should know, like, literally the first word when my daughter was much younger, I taught her was bus. She should know, like people need to know what the boundaries are. If she doesn't want somebody to pull her cheeks, she has to say bus. Girls should know that. Girls should know that. I feel boys should know where their boundaries lie. I taught the same thing to my son. Like, no, you cannot do this, or you can't do this, or if she doesn't want to eat, or if she doesn't want to do something, she defines what needs to be done. Yes, sometimes now it troubles me, but on most days, I feel like boundaries. That's the best thing that I have learned as a mom, and I've taught my children.
I think that's a very good advice for all the children of all the mothers to say no when it's done.
Also professionally, right? You don't want to be taken for granted. Also professionally, I feel like if you think that your time at work finishes at 6 p.m., there's no reason for you to say that. Stay longer. But I'm not saying use that as an excuse to leave early and leave at 4:30. No, don't do that. But I feel like we should know where our boundaries lie. And I don't have any blurred lines left anymore in my life. Like I'm very clear that this is what it is. Karna hai karo, nahi karna hai mat karo. I know when I'm going back home. I feel like kids are amazing. How many of you think so? They're just amazing. Listen, at any point if you want to get up, leave, go to your kids. So. उनको मैंने पकड़ लिया, वो उठ के निकल गए. No, I'm kidding.
So yes, this year we are flowing with purpose. So what is one piece of advice you would like to give the flow members who are navigating between ambition, motherhood and societal expectations?
Oh, my biggest advice would be self-love. Find it everywhere. Find it in motherhood. Find it in your professional commitments. Find it as far as society is concerned. Find where your self-love lies, and I promise you, it's probably a place where you feel like you're afloat. You will rise above, because if your self-love, and it could lie in the smallest thing, like where does your self-love lie? Coffee. There you go. My self-love lies in like hitting the gym. Believe it or not, like I know you're not going to agree with this. Like sleeping 8 to 9 hours.
So you entered the room and the first thing you asked was, where's the gym? I want to go. I said, she's so tired. Why does she want to go to the gym?
Because it makes me feel amazing. You wake up and you're like, what do you do for yourself every day? So I don't want to be under that pressure that I don't want anyone else to define who I am, what I do. My happiness cannot lie in like other people's idea of me, what is expected out of me. I'm polite, I'm professional, I know my boundaries, and I invest in myself. And I'm hoping that everyone who here, the ones who are doing it, fantastic. The ones who haven't reached that point of self-love, I feel like get down to doing it. But it's like that you start going home and being rude to people. Self-love, so I'm not saying that. Self-love is not that. Self-love is just that, hey, sometimes you feel that you and your worth and your peace of mind and your abilities or of your definition of who you are lie in way more than what other people think of you, and you're the only one who can change it. And if someone will think that, and I promise you, I was not in this boat, but I've gotten here, and it doesn't come from a place of being immodest. It doesn't come from a place of being rude or unprofessional or absent, none of that. It just comes from a place of being invested in yourself. And there's nothing wrong, because in your 30s and 40s, no one else is going to be. And it's the ultimate truth. You can love your children as much as you want, and your self-love will lie there, but they want different things from you at different points in their life. It's not even there. Like it could lie in coffee. Mine off late lies in paddle, so I want to play paddle all the time. Any paddle players here? Can you go for a game right now? But anyway, I was joking about that. But really, please take the whole self-love bit very seriously. It helps.
So, and looking in front, seeing the mirror and saying, okay, I love you, makes a difference. I do that.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
That's freaky. I don't do that.
Yes.
You can do that. like you, I also run marathons, and if I don't clock my time, I'm just like, damn, you're better than that. But I don't wake up and say, I love you. Try that. इतने ऐसे दिन नहीं आए मेरे. She's saying, try it. No.
Okay. So yeah.
But now I don't know. I can't look at you the same way I was 2 minutes ago. No, I'm just joking. Yeah, it's my job.
Absolutely okay. So yeah. So what role do you think media and entertainment industry play in shaping perceptions of women empowerment? Is it giving a
I feel like it's a little exploited, the term. And I feel like it's also loosely used sometimes, but sometimes it's really well placed in position. It's how you make a difference. You use the term, and then I'm not talking like particularly, and I feel the media uses it really well. But I've been to places where, I get calls saying women empowerment ke liye karna hai. So I'm talking about like the smaller, or not small, but more like people who have a lack of an understanding of what the term is. They don't use it well. Whereas I know that this room is using that term really well. So well done to you. Well done to all the amazing work you do. Well done to everything that I've seen, that you're doing. So yeah, keep up the great work. But for the ones who don't use it correctly, we need to alter that.
It's very loosely used.
Not at all times, but sometimes.
Yes.
Sometimes, yes.
Okay, perfect. So can we have a rapid fire?
Oh no.
Get ready.
Can I leave?
No. So, what is the one snack you would smuggle into a red carpet event?
One snack?
Yes.
Oh, apart from no coffee, no red carpet events usually happen at night. So believe it or not, like it's I actually know what it is. It's half a chocolate walnut brownie, which is gluten and sugar free, which I eat every night. It's half a brownie and it has no sugar. And yeah, I know it's a thing. And usually red carpet events start at like 8, so about 9:30, 9:45, I get this urge to eat something sweet. So I'm just like, while there's some presentation or something goes on, I take the plate from the hotel, and I do it all the time. I just put my own brownie over there like it's theirs, and I keep eating it like,
This is self-love.
of course. Yeah, I order like one every alternately, I cut it into half, I know that's what we like for the end. Oh, yeah, wow. So yeah, for people who thought I don't eat chocolate or anything.
So if you could swap voices with any Bollywood star for a day, who's it gonna be?
Nobody. I love my voice. I love my voice. I don't want to swap anything about myself.
That's really nice.
Yeah. I never gonna swap anything, not gonna do anything. No.
But you must be looking upon somebody for something.
Nada. But the ones who do great, me, no. That's where my self-love lies. 10 years from now, also I wake up and I'll be like, I love myself.
Neha, I want to know what was his.
Like the extra.
So yeah. So if your podcast had a warning label, what would that be?
Listen with your headphones on. You don't know what's coming. Something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. It's cough. You got cough. What is it cough? What is it rapid fire? I'm calling it coffee. No, it's rapid fire. Damn laughing. Yeah.
So what is one rumor about you which is so wild you wish it was true?
I'm a CA sitting here, so now I should.
No, go ahead.
We're not in that zone right now. I don't know, like, sometimes they falsely report your net worth. That means a lot. I'm like, wow, me? No. Yeah, maybe work too damn hard and eventually, like, and that is why you want to get. There's a lot your own money can buy. I don't know if there's a lot money can buy, but there's a lot your own money can buy as women.
So true.
Yeah? You agree with me?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
As a CA. Yeah, okay, so one word you would like to be tattooed on your body?
No, two. If I ever have to get tattooed, it'll be Meher and Gorik. My children. I guess that. I love their names. I do. I don't expect any of you to say yeah. But I really do. Like, I've not been in that. It's been 6.5 years she's been born. And and 3.5 since my son was born. And it's not like I go anywhere and I'll be like, wow, this one's name is so nice. I wish I had been waiting a year earlier. I don't have those thoughts.
Beautiful names.
And it's like the only thing I don't want to have second thoughts in my life about my husband and my children's names. First, I don't know, but kidding.
Okay. Yeah. So you're going to karaoke song when no one's judging.
I will survive.
Can you sing that for us?
Not at all. A line or two. Next question.
So if Gurik and Meher started a podcast, what would be the heading?
No. What would their podcast be called? That's a cute question.
No filter form.
I think it would be listen to me, because when my daughter is talking, my son keeps saying listen to me, and then when my son is talking, my daughter is like listen to me. Right now I just keep hearing, I'm like, but I'm listening to you more. So probably we call listen to me. It's a nice name actually. Yeah.
Listen to me, very nice.
Yeah.
You got a new podcast heading. So what's one thing that Angad does which annoys you the most?
But you can only say one.
Keep going.
ये तो 15 मिनट का जवाब है. Anybody else in this room has a 15-minute answer for their husbands? More women have raised their hands here. Moms, husbands.
I can see both hands also.
No, I mean, what's the one thing? After all the food is made at home, he'll swiggy something. Yeah, he'll be like, ye bana do, ye bhi khalenge, and 10 minutes later when we sit down to eat, the doorbell will ring and there'll be like something that doesn't go with the food at all. Like there'll be, how to explain to you, like there'll be, assuming there's like rajma and jeera aloo and grilled fish. Okay, let's just talk about this now because it's a serious problem. And then in the middle of the afternoon, there'll be like salmon nigiri, that's pork with rajma. What am I supposed to do? How should I react? Should I be cool about it? Option A. B. Should I join him in that food combination? C. Should I pretend that it's not lying on the table? Or D. Get up and leave the table? What do you do? No, I think me? No. E. Come to Fiki Floor Indoor and discuss it. Absolutely. They're always there to help.
So yes, can we move ahead for our question answer session?
Yes, please. Oh, I thought can we go ahead and order something in Swiggy? I'm still there. Yeah, but if you have any questions about what's made for dinner and what's going to be brought in, like it could be, now you know.
Now I know.
Yeah. There have been days where we've had like curry chawal and then Chinese food has come in. So yeah, it's a lot.
So kids learning that?
I think so, yeah. It's just a lot of food.
Any questions from audience? Can you please raise your hand?
Hi Neha, this is Priyanka. Seeing you in roadies. So I just want to know, hear from you that one roadie moment that you have actually enjoyed a lot. And you always think that every contestant coming over should have that one element in that contestant.
I don't know the one roadies moment, and I don't know how that line came out, but it came out like 2 episodes ago. And I know that Randaji asked me why you so dressed today. So I just told him can't shine sparkle. So that's my thinking life. When you can't shine, you sparkle. Yeah. So that's my Rodi's moment for now. But you are sparkling and shining, Priyanka. So yeah, both. But thank you for the question. It's really wonderful. I was thinking of your audience and Rodi's के बारे में कोई ना कुछ तो पूछेगा. Do we have any more questions? Also, I just want to tell you what a nice room this is. You guys are amazing. Yeah, that's fine. I'll clap.
Hello Neha, I really admire how confident and grounded you are both on screen and off screen. And I love the Jomo thing. I think everybody loved it. Loved it. The joy of missing out. I think you'll remember it every time you're missing something. So my question to you is, like beyond the roles, the recognition and spotlight, what is the one thing you would like that you should be remembered for, like years from now?
I mean, it's really wonderful that you asked me that. Even I don't know. You know, sometimes I think about it, and I also have like strange things I think about. How many people will actually remember me? What will they remember me for? Will I leave an impact? And then when I go out of, you know, a film set or out of home where, you know, people see you every day and they don't think of you as much as they just have you in their lives. So they turn around and tell you the effect that they've had. And I just feel like many years from now, if I feel like, I just hope that I've impacted the lives of more women than men. I feel like there will be a lot of success that will lie in my life and the things that I do. And I'm getting it. So from little girls to women who go to work and I see that, you know, so at airports or wherever publicly accessible, I hear some stories and they really, you know, make me want to do more. And I'm hoping I'm saying and doing the right things. And more than anything else, I think that a little bit, if I had to be like remembered for anything, any one thing, would be my strength and my ability to exercise my voice in the right direction every time I thought it was important.
Anybody else? Can you please raise your hand?
Where are all these beautiful saris from? Like I look at one sari and I'm like, I want that one. I want that one. And then I look at that one. What's going on?
So this is MP and Maheshwari and Chandeni being our textile thing.
Stunning.
Stunning. Yes.
Stunning. Like everyone's saris are just like that.
Hi Neha,
Hi.
this is Kopal. Again a question from Rodi. Neha, was the heated conversation at Rodi real or just a part of showstopper?
Which one? I've had so many.
Yeah. So I personally love seeing you.
It's all real.
All real?
Yeah, you know, that's what the show does. It kind of pushes you to a point where you want to be able to stand up and speak for yourself. And then you have to draw parallels with life, right? When you see that something is not going right or something's going wrong, you are going to stand up for yourself. You are going to speak up. And if you don't, and if you're going to let the other person win, you know whose loss it is. I don't want to lose.
Thank you for being so real.
Thank you for asking me that question. But I promise you, everything on that show is real, and I love the show. I really do. I know it comes with its own, like, people have judgment, but
A general perception is actually everything is scripted.
no, it's not. Nothing
The
on
other
the
side of the TV.
We literally don't know. Like, we are brought in, and when which is actually telling you this is what the task is, that's the time we get to know. We don't even get to know 1 minute before. So yeah, it's all
It's
real.
very nice to know.
Hi Neha, I'm CA Arjuna Rathod. I have 2 questions for you.
Ma'am, don't ask me any math questions.
No maths, no network. Okay, so first question is, if Neha is not Miss India or not into acting, Neha kahan?
I was preparing for my civil services, so maybe I will be there.
Okay, and the second question is, any role you always admire? कि यार ये role तो मेरे पास, I mean ये role I for you?
I think जब भी कोई स्पोर्ट्स या फौज की फिल्म बनती है तो मुझे ऐसे लगता है कि मुझे कर लेनी चाहिए थी और आज शुरू पे नहीं and being a patriot, a fauji, somebody who's played sport and a lot of it, I really wish that I still had the opportunity to be cast in one of those. So yeah, those would be like, तो देख के मेरा मन करता है कि मैं भी करूँ. Thank you.
So can you throw some light on your bike rides? I just remember I see your bike
I
ride.
sit at the back.
You sit at the back?
For the benefit of everybody. I just sit at the back. Yeah, but I feel like sitting in the back, like when you're on roadies and sitting in the back, sometimes it's harder because the cameraman will be like, हम shot नहीं ले सकते, आप ये GoPro पकड़ लो. And the whole highway you're holding the camera and filming, you're like, my job is harder than riding a bike. But yeah, I sit in the back because it's just highway, and I think now more than ever, not that I ever was somebody who was, I was never someone who's been into speed, or I never get thrilled through speed, but now, especially after becoming a mom, I'm like, anybody's on 40 also, I'm like, traffic violation, or धीरे करो, they're like, इतना धीरे करने की उससे problem हो जाएगी, yeah, there's another question. All these things. Hi.
I've seen your work, your committed work in the movie of Wednesday, and I'm sure everybody would agree to my question.
Hi Neha, my name is Sonali, and I've seen your commendable work in the movie A Wednesday. So my question to you is, and I think you were expecting that time. So how hard was it to shot the movie while you are carrying a baby inside your tummy? And what made you do this actually?
So I was in the sequel, and Thursday, but it was really exciting for me. Also, we were straight out. That's okay. We were still in like I think COVID, and then there was lockdown, and there's all that. I still remember wearing the shield, the face shield, and shooting. And we kind of started shooting when I was, I think, getting into my 7th month, and then I kept growing. So like my trouser sizes were changing a lot, and we had that belt. But it was an interesting time because I didn't realize while I was going to commit to the movie, the whole movie was shot in rain.
Yes.
So from beginning to end, like in the morning I would get there, and then the first scene would get fully drenched, and then to be in those really sticky jeans, and then wanting to go to the washroom a lot, and it was intense. And I still remember, and then this is something that I haven't spoken about very much, and closer to the time, my director, that time, Reza, said that what I like is that you're so pregnant and that your breath is not getting complete. You start breathing like that. So I want you to come and dub. And then I went to Yashat's studio, I was dubbing for the film, and then suddenly I was like, breathing like that. And then he was like, you're not being able to finish your sentences. I said, I'm in a lot of pain. And then he was like, so what's going on? So this was on the 25th of September. My son was born on the 3rd of October, or 27th of September, I don't remember. So my contractions started at work, but they were very distant from each other, and you didn't have to go in so fast and stuff. But right up to dubbing my last line, my son was pretty well behaved and he stayed in. And then we used that short breath, and then my daughter, poor thing, got really unwell even back then. We took her to the hospital. I still remember we went to Surya Hospital, and then they looked at me, and suddenly one nurse came and said, we need to admit her. And my dad was with me, my husband was in Delhi, and my dad started putting my daughter ahead, saying that, oh yeah, check. They're like, no, sir, we don't need to admit her. We need to admit her. She's white in the face. She needs to get admitted. I'm like, no, I can't have this baby. My husband's not here. Can you wait? And then, of course, things happen, and then they take their own time. These kids come out, and then I don't know how it works medically, but it was a lot. Like, and every time something would happen, Atul Kulkarni was my co-star, Yami was there. And I would just be like, between shots, I would just touch my knee. I would be like, kusi, lake do. And then I would be like, biscuit khayenge, aap sandwich khayenge. I'm like, this is good. Like, I started enjoying son, and that guy was like, "Ma'am, आपको दर्द होगा, आप इतने pregnant हैं, आप मुझे सच्ची में थप्पड़ मार दीजिए, इसी खत्म करिए, बहुत दुख है, आप मुझे थप्पड़ मार." I was like, "मेरी सर में नहीं मारो." So you get a lot of privileges. I didn't want to misuse them, but it was, to answer your question, it's by far one of the most challenging things I've done, and I always go out there and tell everyone, being pregnant is not your weakness, it's your strength. Nobody that has it apart from us. We are getting it. It's beautiful answer, Neha. Thank you so much.
Can we have one last question, please? Yeah.
Hi Neha, this is Chetna Raujan speaking.
Hi.
As here we all know the annoying part of Angad. So what is the biggest strength between both of you that keeps you bonded so nicely?
I think our friendship. I mean, we can't. I mean, the fact that, and I between you and me, I slightly enjoy that Swiggy order now. You know, I just want it because I'm just like, कुछ भी बनेगा इससे ज़्यादा exciting कुछ आ ही जाएगा. So I don't want to lie to you. So, but sometimes it's like, what's going on here? But like, I know that's also very exciting. But I feel like friendship. There can't be a marriage without friendship. There can't be a marriage without like communication. And the love never goes. So you know, if you say that you're going to base it on love, there are enough and more people that are out there that you will love forever and ever. But who is that one person where you can have companionship, where you can have trust, where you can have friendship, where you can have, you know, just laughs with. You know, it's the little things that actually make for that perfect partner. And if you go out there looking for everything and more, I don't know if that even exists. So yeah, between us, it's definitely the friendship that we share.
Hello, ma'am, one last.
Yes, please.
Hi Neha, this is Pinky Srivastava. Neha, I want to ask, एक टाइम में आप लोग बहुत ऊपर होते हो, बहुत पूरी दुनिया आपके आगे पीछे घूमती रहती है, एंड धीरे धीरे फिर जब आप गिव अप करते हो या आपके साथ चीज़ें दूसरी बदलती जाती हैं, तो फिर आपको रियल वर्ल्ड में आना पड़ता है. तो हाउ डू यू हैंडल दैट प्रेशर? क्या चीज़ें जिसने आपको हेल्प किया टू मैनेज ऑल दीज अप्स एंड डाउन्स इन लाइफ?
आई थिंक डिफाइनिंग और बहुत ऊपर होते हो ना, वो करता है आपको डिफाइनिंग व्हाट योर अप्स एंड डाउन्स आर. I feel like if you think that for me, a lot of people feel like, you know, when you're younger, your ups are that you're kind of a mainstream heroine in a film with like big actors. Is that your up in life? Maybe in your 20s, in your 30s, changing and thinking out of the box and making choices and traveling the world and having, you know, a little bit of surplus income to spend on yourself, invest on yourself. Is that what your ups are? Or in your 40s, like to have a mind of your own, to understand what your boundaries are, going home to a home full of love and cuddles and, you know, having these two beautiful children. Is that what your success is? My success is not measured by the box office. It never was. It never will be. My success is measured by what the world that I've created for myself, the voice that I have and how I use it, the children that I'm raising, the difference that I'm making. And I feel that only I can define that, and I'm hoping that I'm, you know, on that up for the rest of my life.
Wow. So all mothers are the most successful people of the world.
Absolutely. But it all depends on how you define success, and it doesn't have to lie. I mean, and it's the truth. Some of the most successful people are not the happiest. So, and I'm not saying that all of them are not, some. But I'm not saying that, you know, my happiness doesn't lie. It's not correlated. Success, no. Professional achievements, yes. Accomplishments, yes. But success and failure, no. Like, not
Keep coming and giving. Better.
You can't define your happiness or base your happiness on things that are temporary. So anything that's temporary, you're like, oh, yeah, thinking, I'm not happy about this. No. Things that are permanent. Invest your happiness in that. Family, friends, children, you know, yourself. So invest in that, I feel.
That's the best investment you can make.
Absolutely. I mean, I see it as not doing that. She did something.
I do.
She's like, Mainland, Ghar, Ye,
Nothing over family. For sure. Nothing over family. So yeah, I think it was an amazing session, Neha.
Thank you very much.
And you spoke your heart out. Thank we are so happy and so thankful to you for that. Can we have a big round of applause, please? Thank you very much. This is by far one of the most wonderful rooms I've been to in a really long time. I wish you all the love, success, happiness, and everything else that you've ever dreamed of, wished for, and all of that. And the self-love theory, please practice it. My version, not yours.
On behalf of Flow Indo, I, Vandana Gujarati, Senior Vice Chair, extend a heartfelt gratitude to each one of you for being here today. Neha, you have consistently broken stereotypes, embraced change with courage and stood strong for what you believe in. Today, as we mark a new beginning of Flow Indo, your pages remind us to live with confidence, evolve with time, and always stand tall, no matter the challenges. This event wouldn't have been possible without the unwavering support of our sponsor. A big thank you to our patron sponsor, Punjabi Sarab, eternal jury since 1947 by Floyd Anu Anand and Sheetal Anand. Our silver sponsor, M.B. Patel, a brand committed to bringing luxury to life. With premium interiors, sanitary ware, tiles and lighting solution by Manish Patel. Associate sponsor, Somya Vehicles by Floyd Shweta Pravesh Agarwal. Mobile partner, Oppo Mobile by Ashwin Ji. Furniture partner, Ravina Furniture by Floyd Open Maheshwari. Event partner, Gadbandhan by Floyd Priya Pitaria. Gift partner, Easy Creations by Ekta Jetwani. Celebration partner, Books by Soren Sham Shukla, Adam L. and Floyd Neha Modi. Travel partner, High Fly Holidays by Floyd Varsha Goyal. Styling partner of the event, Floyd Purva Kupar. A big thank you to Anusha Jaisinghani for sponsoring beautiful attire for the past, present and immediate past chairpersons of Flow Indo for the Flow National event in Delhi on 27 March 25. Creative partner, Mango by Floyd Mansi Pahava. Photography partner, Pushka Arts by Pushkar Soni. Gratitude to Iconverse Design for designing Flow Connect. We also extend our sincere thanks to Sheraton Grand Palace for being our venue partner and the media for their continued support in covering our events. Our esteemed members, distinguished guests and everyone present here, thank you all for being a part of this remarkable event. Let's continue to inspire, uplift and empower each other.